Our next guests say buckle up for more volatility as we do head toward the November election. So what would a Trump or Biden win mean for the markets? Greg Branch is a partner at 1847 Financial, and Yana Barton is a portfolio manager at Eaton Vance Management. Welcome to both of you. I'm going to let you have a little window on my family. I was with my wife's parents, my mother-in-law, a couple of weeks ago, and she said, I'm really, really worried about my money if Joe Biden wins. Am I going to lose all my money? And I said, no, you're not going to lose all your money. Greg Branch, what would you have told her?
Right. Yeah, I think you're right to stave off the thoughts of Armageddon. But the survey came out exactly as we would anticipate. The Biden team has already stated their intent to raise the corporate tax rate. They've already stated their intent to reconsider taxation on earnings that are repatriated from foreign entities. And so that's going to have a short-term effect. It will decrease the profitability outlook for the companies, and the market will have to adjust for that or allow for multiple expansion. And we don't see any really good reason short those companies that are experiencing structural tailwinds for there to be significant multiple expansion. So there's no question that in a Biden victory, there would be a short-term reconciliation of the market to reflect the outlook of lower profitability for the companies.
Has the market already discounted that, or at least in part? Greg?
Some would say that it has. I would say that the choppiness is evidence that it hasn't yet. I would say that the bloated valuations in some sectors is evidence that it hasn't yet. And, people like to say that the market is forward-looking, but sometimes it's not actually in the stocks until it's in the stocks. And so post the election, if what we have is a Biden victory, the market will really be able to concentrate with certainty on a decreased profit outlook across the board due to higher corporate tax rates.
So, Yana, tell me whether you agree with what Greg just said, which is basically that a Biden presidency with higher taxes will mean lower net profits for corporations, and that, all other things being equal, would mean lower slightly or more majorly returns for stocks.
Potentially, but not necessarily. I think first and foremost, you're absolutely right. The volatility is going to increase. In fact, years when we have a presidential election, S&P returns about 400 basis points less than it does in non-presidential years. And actually, the average return is about 6%, which is exactly where we're sitting today. I think the survey confirms the fact that the market and the economy are two very different things. As an example, information technology and healthcare sectors represent over 40% of the market and 40% of earnings, yet represent less than 20% of our economy. So ultimately, I think it comes down to stocks. And the good news is, perhaps bad for this year, is that majority of the stocks actually underperform the market to date. Average stock is down 3% year to date relative to S&P's 6% return. So I think there are a lot of dispersions and opportunities for people to capitalize on. Last point on margins, I would say that a lot of companies went through recession-like cost pivoting, rebooting, that I think will certainly help them come back with this operational leverage they didn't have before when revenue growth comes back. So albeit they might be taxed at a little bit higher rates, but margins might do a little better because they've gone through the pain of taking costs out of the system.
Let me turn, if I might, Yana, to where Steve left us, and that was the possibility of a contested election, a close election that then, because of the mail-in ballots or irregularities of one sort or another, becomes contested and throws the country into a period of either suspended animation or, at worst, some kind of constitutional crisis. How damaging could that be for equities?
Any uncertainty is very damaging, right? We are in the business of predicting the future, and if you can't even put in what your input is as it relates to policies, I think it's certainly an anchor on the stock market and the multiple. That being said, I think the one thing that we have going for us, and I think the odds are in our favor, is the vaccine. I think it's the ultimate factor that people need to watch. And we are very bullish on that. You've got over 38 different vaccines in human trials right now. You've never had more people, more money, more urgency, more intellectual power focused on one goal. I think the odds are with us, and I think it will
Yeah.
definitely be a turning point for the market.
Let us hope and pray you were right, Yana Barton. Thank you, Greg Branch. Thanks to you as well. Kelly.
Well, the Apple event just wrapped up a few moments ago. Let's go to Josh Lipton for all of the highlights. Josh?